Surprise! It's me. I'm in front of the camera. Maya and I switched roles tonight. She just shared in the chat. She had posted earlier today that she was, in the hospital waiting on her husband's appendectomy, supposed to be in and out, and she's working on her stuff. And they ended up having a super long day. Things didn't go quite the way as originally planned. And so it was not in and out. They just got home. She got him settled. I said, let me take the helm. You kind of do that and listen for him to holler your name. So, but you do have Maya and Jennifer on the call tonight. I'm coming to you from Garland, Texas. I saw somebody shout out that they are also in Garland, Texas. So that's kind of fun. Welcome, welcome. Be sure, yeah, and thank y'all for those great messages. I know how much Maya appreciates it because you know how those days go, and they're long anyway. And so I'm glad that they're home. We're going to do this setup. She's going to hang out in the chat with you. If she needs to go check on Mr. Maya, she may pop away real quick, but we are just sending lots of love to Josh. So yeah, who needs an appendix? It was crappy anyway. It wasn't working right. So yes, we've got Dr. Maya. It's really good to see y'all. Lots of folks are welcoming one another, interfacing with each other. That's what I love about our time together. We are going to set up, y'all, brand new month, February. We've made it. I love this graphic. I actually put this graphic in my March set up last year that it's the best time to start again because if the spring can do it, why can't you? And I really have tried the last couple of years to embrace the idea of wintering, of slowing down, of just having these cozier days before I start getting busy, busy, busy in my garden and outside. And so it feels like getting this journal right now is kind of like another little new year. Of course, we love the fresh starts every month. You may have noticed that our journals are very familiar looking on the front from month to month. This is going to kind of be a collection with the graphics kind of looking the same, a little something different for our journals, so that hopefully from year to year you'll end up with these neat collections. Be sure to set your chat to everyone. That's how we communicate. We do a lot of sharing when we are here. And then I also want to know, is there anybody joining us? This is your first social. Now, this is cameras off, mics off, and you can, hang out in the chat and participate as much as you want, but you don't have to. But we want to welcome our first timers. Now, y'all will find these folks here. You'll see everybody's like knowing each other's name and all that. So I see that Robin says it's the first setup social she's been able to come to, and Christy's here for the first time. Oh, Sarah, you've been a long time listener, first time caller. I love that. Um, so these are perfect. I don't know how to say your name, Guy. That's so fun. And it's your first social. Be sure to set that chat to everyone so that we can all visit with you. Now, Susie, they will change subtly with the colors. So, just so you know that the colors will change a little bit. So yeah, so let's get on. We're going to set up our monthly, our March monthly stuff that we always do at the front end of the month. And this weekend we'll also have those a weekly set up for the first week in March. So, yeah, and we love the new theme. So, here we go. Winds of March, we welcome you. There is work for you to do. Work and play and blow all day and blow the winter cold away. And I've got some fun things about loving yourself in the best way during the month of March. There is just something about all the spring blooming that's going to happen, and we are definitely going to enjoy digging into our new theme of change. We share these Silk and Sonder guidelines whenever we gather together as a community. Oh, Chris, I love that you just said have a love-hate relationship with change. I was talking to a girlfriend today and she said change is hard. Even the good changes are, it's just hard. And so I think it's going to be fun to explore that, one coin, but the two sides of it. It's going to be good because, yeah, change is hard. So it's going to be a fabulous month. We've got some great mind map questions for those weekly setups. You'll want to be sure to catch those. And then I think the activities in the journal look popping. So make sure you sign up to attend socials for those journaling prompts. And you'll be able to find all of that on the Eventbrite page. And Maya will be sharing all those links with you in a bit as well. And one thing we know is that everything changes, right? We get a day older, we get a minute older, everything's changing. Anyway, oh Gloria, yeah, last month's mind maps did make your brain hurt. But we grow when when it's uncomfortable, right? So yeah, again, we want to make sure that you've had time to look at those community guidelines and remember that we keep this a safe space and that anytime you gather with your Sonder family, this is a time for you. And we want to make sure that you take really good care of yourself. So be responsible for your emotions, your well-being, your decisions. And yeah, Brenda, heavy questions are where the growth happens for sure, for sure. So chain. Yeah, I love it. So I am a huge fan of Mother Teresa and this quote, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. And so I kind of am going to embrace that, that I'm a little bit involved in this big world and there are things that I can do to maybe cause these ripple effects. I think that'll be fun. The butterfly effect, if you will. I'm so glad that we have a butterfly coloring page this month. So that's kind of fun because that works well with our theme. Also, why I opened up with a little Martina McBride singing "She's a Butterfly," because that's the perfect symbol, right, for change. So let's start by looking at page 2. That's our letter from founder Mayha. And we always say you want to look at these because she's kind of setting you up to know why this theme. Why this theme? And so some stuff that popped out for me, she says in the letter, some of the most meaningful shifts in my life were the ones I resisted at first. We all know that, right? We've all been there. We look back and go, why did I make that so hard? It didn't go nearly how I thought it would go. Another bit. Transformation doesn't mean abandoning yourself. It means returning to the part that was always meant to lead. I love that. And change doesn't always need to be loud to be life altering. Sometimes it's quiet decision, ease, trust. So those are the few things that popped out for me. I want to make sure that you take time to look at it. I noticed somebody had highlighted. They were new and they posted in our Sonder Club app. They had highlighted all the things that jumped out for them. But that'll kind of help you get your head set for this new theme. So, our agenda tonight, we're going to work on an opening activity, the monthly acrostic poem. That's become a tradition here. You may have already done it on your own, but not to worry if you have, or if an acrostic's not your jam. I've got some alternate activities to get our juices going as we think about change. February reflections. We're going to look back over this past month. What did it bring us? The good, the bad, the ugly, the joys, the tough stuff. And then we'll do the intentions for our month. What do we want March to give us? And then we'll do those two trackers, the mood tracker and the habit tracker. So Let's start by that acrostic poem. Now, sometimes we have an acrostic poem that is printed in the journal. This month it is not. So we'll invite you to find a blank space in your journal. I actually wrote a very small one. I'll be sharing it with you. I put mine on page 1 where it says notes on the appendix page. I mean, the index page, so that I just wrote my word down the side. I'll show that to you in a minute. You might want to use a whole page, do some decorating, do some doodling, but just kind of think about 6 words or phrases for the word change. And then we're going to write an acrostic poem. And nobody's grading this. So if your word change happens to be in the middle of sentences, if you use those letters and they're not at the front end, that's okay. And you can do one sentence, a set of words, whatever, and then I'll show you some alternate activities. Mackenzie, it's okay. You're just getting started. She said, I just got here. And it'll fit in the box on page 3. You are so correct, Nikki. That's a great call out. That little, to me, change means you could put your acrostic there. I actually did a little bit of I'll show you mine. I did a little word cloud there. So yeah, we've got lots of ways to just get our brains going and thinking about change. So this is the first monthly setup. I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable, post your acrostics in Sonder Club, and then we can maybe share a couple of those, add it to this slide. But this is mine. And so I just wrote, Can I really be here? The second chapter, amazed at its arrival, newfound opportunities for growth and vitality, aging and embracing new beginnings and endings with joy and gratitude. And then I kind of squeezed in my acrostic change down that way. So there's mine. Maya put together this slide, and there's some great examples there. And there's our butterfly again. But we've got a couple of really powerful acrostic poems there, as well as some synonyms. So those synonyms may inspire your acrostic, or you may just choose to use one of those words that means change to you. And I'll go through all of these while y'all are working on this. Now, some other ideas you could think about trying. If maybe you've got something special this month, like it's a birthday or an anniversary, you could do that. You could write birthday down the side and write a poem about your birthday. Or maybe there's someone really special in your life and you want to celebrate them. You can do an acrostic with their name, or you could do an acrostic with your name, or you could use the month of March. Some other alternatives, you could write a goodbye note to February and a hello note to March, kind of going in that personification frame of mind. You could make a haiku, write a haiku. And then you can also work on that definition box on page 3. And I wrote, just like I brainstormed the first 5 words that came to me for what change meant. And then I wrote the serenity prayer. I've shared with all of y'all that I do I do my little Al-Anon readings and recovery for that program, and the serenity prayer is a big part of what we do. So perhaps something like that will speak to you. I'm going to put on a little bit of music while you work on this. So maybe you've already started dropping it in the chat. If you have, then maybe spend some time saying goodbye to February and hello to March, or maybe you can get your poetrist hat on and start a haiku. But yeah, let's start on that, and then we'll get going with the rest of our monthly setup. I am always so amazed at the words that you put together, Sonder family. This community, man, your poems are great. You thought of words that really epitomize change in your life, and just they're just powerful. So good, good start to a brand new theme. I love it. I hope you're comfortable sharing in Sonder Club. I would love to see those, and then I can pop some other examples in. I think I'm going to do this again tomorrow, and so I'll be able to share some of that. So, yes, let's get going into our March monthly setup. We're going to start with our February reflections, which you can find on page 8. And this month, I'm going to do it a little bit different. Let's just focus on the reflections from February. We're going to start by going backward and looking through the month and finding out our wins, things that we celebrated. Go look at those roses and buds and thorns from our previous 4 weeks. Look at your screen, your phone screen, and pull up your photos. Look and see what you took pictures of. What are the all those things that made you happy? Maybe an accomplishment, something maybe work, or you're celebrating something up from a family member. And then we'll be looking at the challenges, things that didn't go right, because we all know life is a mixed bag. I know Maya could write this whole thing today, just write about today in our February challenges. But the things that might have been out of your control, you know how icky that feels. Stumbling blocks of frustration. Maybe there's people that are making you not be your best self. Put that on there. And then, of course, let's celebrate just like favorite moments. Like what brought a smile to your face? Fill that bottom part in with all of those things. And of course, we'd love to know, what are you celebrating this month? What were the favorite moments? And let's see. I always say, your phone, go look at your calendar. Where did you spend your time? Maybe look at your to-do list. What were those things that you did? Y'all, I have been, on my to-do list for like 3 weeks has been this big, big bag of stuff to take to donate, and it just couldn't leave the house. I don't know why I couldn't make myself do it. And I did it about 30 minutes before tonight. So that's a win for me because you have great intentions. Anyway, I'm going to put on a little bit of music for this part, and then we'll come back and talk about that lower section on the page. And again, share as you're comfortable.
Who doesn't know what I'm talking about? Who's never left home? Who's never struck out to find a dream and a life of their own?
Okay, continue to work on this page, but I do want to go. I'll put on some more music as we work on the bottom part. Let's talk about that really briefly. Um, I love this reflection, this start, stop, and continue reflection. We think about the things that aren't happening that we really want to do. They're there. They're hanging out in our minds. We're going to commit those to paper tonight. We're going to think about what we need to do to get some better results or to just think, I deserve this. I deserve to feel this certain way about XYZ. That's the kind of stuff that's going to go in your start box. And then conversely, what needs to go away? What needs to stop? Where do you need to put some boundaries? What doesn't serve you? We're going to put that in your stop box. And then in the continue box, you're doing a lot of great stuff. So think about, what are you most proud of and what do you want to continue doing? Maybe it was something you started last month that's working out pretty good. So that's going to go in the continue box. Now, I love this space because I always say it can serve as a compass for the entire month as we start making our plans, our goals, our to-do list, how we spend our time, who we spend our time with. Um, One of the really neat ways to kind of fill this out is to, you'll notice the example I have, pardon me, on the bottom here, where we've got the start, stop, and continue, and they've asked themselves the three questions with each one of these places. What is it? Why is it important? And how can I get this done? And so that's just kind of taking this a step further to make sure you're being very intentional with the things that are in that space. So consider asking yourself, what is it? Why is this important? What is your why? What's driving that? And then how can you do it? Maybe one little step that'll help guide you then as you're setting up goals and to-dos. Another tip is to think about this space in, maybe you might be in a current situation where something's feeling really tough. Maybe it's a relationship issue. Maybe there's something going on financially. Perhaps it's your health, and you're not doing the things you need to do to be the best version of you. You can kind of take that little space and make it themed. So, for instance, if it's health, what do you need to start doing so that you feel your best? And then you can start thinking, why is this important? So that you feel vital. And maybe a how, a couple of things: eat nutritionally dense foods and move my body each day. And then those things can drive your goals and to-dos. If you were looking at your health, what do you need to stop doing? Maybe it stop staying up late. Why? Because I get tired the next day and I drag. How will I do that? And then you think about your evening routine. So I hope you find that helpful. It's kind of nice to give this space a theme if there's something big going on in your life. And then another way to fill this out is to sort of do a repurpose where we use this technique where you think about, I'm feeling X and Y because of, and you get down to the point, what's making you feel that way. And it's telling me I want to or I need to. So, this example here, I feel tired and heavy because my sleep hygiene is off and I need a purposeful routine I can stick to. And then you can see how this then can become the springboard to set habits for the month. Maybe it works its way into the intentions that you set. So that's kind of a way to perhaps embrace this space. So I'm going to put on some more music so you can finish up your reflections and then work on your start, stop, and continue space. Y'all are very inspiring. I'm sitting here with this phone and I'm thinking maybe I do need to just go X these apps off and then because I'm so guilty about just mindlessly picking it up. I told Maya said, she's got to stop. I said I could cut and paste her exact words into my because I'm tired of wasting that time. Oh my goodness. So thank y'all for sharing. Y'all are amazing. Okay, Android, you got digital wellness. Yeah, I've got a Apple. I don't know how to use my iPhone, but I need to just take them off. That's the solution. It's not good for my brain. I have stopped watching the news. I don't watch the news but about once or twice a week now. So, let's turn to page 9. Now, we've had this reflection. We can say goodbye to February. Thank you. Thank you. And embrace March and start looking at our intentions. Um, we've got these categories that are printed for us, but man, we have got a lot of ways to repurpose this page so that it really speaks to your life. And I kind of like this little March intentions, like Magnificent March, Mindfulness Month, March, Meditation March, Make It Happen March, Motivation March. So maybe something like that will kind of guide you into this. Now, I like to pull this up every now and then because I know intentions can sometimes feel a little daunting, especially if this is your first time thinking about, setting intentions for the month. And really the idea, this graphic is very helpful because intentions are much more about how you want to feel and not what you want to accomplish. The what you want to accomplish kind of comes under the idea of your goals and your to-dos, but the intention sets that tone for it. So this graphic's pretty good, the intentions help to manifest the goals. So you can see an intention is the energy you put in at the very start of something and how you want to feel. So really getting into that. I want to feel proud of myself. I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel rested. I want to feel in charge of my money. I want to feel healthy. And then the goal, conversely, would be the results you're looking for and what do you want to accomplish. So those are all those steps. The timing, the intention is how you want to feel right now, and it's short term, whereas your goal is more a future projection, and it could be accomplished quickly or it could be a long term goal. Your priority, again, going back to your emotions are guiding this. What are you feeling about what's coming up? And then, of course, a goal is the results. Our scope with the intentions, they're very broad and vague, whereas a goal should be narrow and focused. And an example there, I want to feel more focused. For an intention, the goal would be meditate, XYZ, So that might help you a little bit if you've struggled with figuring out how to approach this intention page. We've got some really fun things this month. It is National Women's History Month. And so we celebrate women all over. And we're actually going to be having a special event for International Women's Day. And there's also going to be a deal coming up in honor of women on Silk and Sonder. So watch like the Instagram and your emails because you'll be given codes to get some deals for the first half of March. We have Irish American Heritage Month, National Reading Awareness Month. It's MS Awareness Month, and I know that we have some family members, some Sonder family members that struggle with multiple sclerosis, so we lift you up. And then there's just some little fun facts. It's National Crayon Day this month. And we're saying goodbye to winter, welcoming spring. Who's got a birthday? Who are our Pisces and our Aries people? Put a me in the chat so we can tell you happy birthday. Let's move into some tips and tricks. Oh, here comes our birthday gals on International Women's Day. Oh, I love that. Happy birthday, y'all. Um, we might want to take our theme of change and think about how that can be incorporated into the intentions. You might have an area that you're focusing on, like self love or self talk. And then I've got some examples to show songs or lyrics, how people use that, stickers, colors. Again, really focusing on how you want to feel in each one of these areas. And then we love this last line, that exploration of something you want to let go of and something you want to start doing. That idea of duality, that is so huge in Silk and Sonder to think about, like, the almost the yin and the yang of things. And so I love duality. I've got examples of that as well. Now, folks repurpose some of these spaces. So if they don't speak to your world, feel free to give them a different topic, a different heading. I've got a list. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's what a lot of folks have used in the past. So, for the professional goals for me, since I am retired, I really lean into learning and I try to make sure I'm doing like some learning type things. Go to TED Talks, maybe go hear a lecture somewhere, read X number of real books, nonfiction books. And I try to read a lot for Silk and Sonder work that I do, but learning goals are there instead of professional goals. The example you see here on this page, they are using the bottom two spaces for quotes and for verses. So, especially if you're new, you might only want to take the top three or four intention spaces that really speak to you and focus on those instead of like feeling overwhelmed with all six. Now, here's an example of that duality. There's more peace with less anxiety. You see how that can really invoke those feelings there? And you could use a single word. And then quotes are a wonderful way to frame out kind of that feel for there. Song titles, and here's a great example of song titles, and they've done want statements in there. And so, like for spiritual health, killing me slowly, and it says I want to believe again. Personal life, a little bit off, I want to be happy with myself. Oh, yay, Chris. Thank you for sharing. We love when y'all share. Now there's a March intentions in the middle there. I think that might have been from last year or maybe the year before. But y'all, I mean, the pots of gold, come on. So their intentions, peace, happiness, health, love, satisfaction, confidence. And then in the rainbow, they've actually tasked themselves with ways for these intentions to come to fruition. And those tasks may also end up showing up in their habit trackers and then their weekly setups. And then, like Chris hollered out, the her example is over there of she was using this word embrace, and then she changed up a couple of these categories. So you can see instead of money management, she has brain health instead of professional goals, home and garden. So this is all about taking what your life needs. So I'm going to give you a good chunk of music to work on these. And I just think those rainbows and the pots of gold they're just fun. And when you can add doodling to your journal, you tap into a part of your brain that doesn't, maybe if you're not an artist, it will pop it creates those connections that maybe don't get as much of a workout. So yeah, doodle if you can. I'll put some music on. I'll go back and forth between these slides so you can check them out again as you're setting up your intentions. Tell us if you're changing any of the categories, and also kind of maybe share what you're thinking to put in there. And this community is so awesome. If you are like stuck, let us know. Maybe you're trying to think of a way to frame out your spiritual health and XYZ. Drop that in the chat and let us cheer you on and maybe make some suggestions. I love the support that I'm seeing in the chat, and I wanted to call out something that Carolyn said. So, our calendar on page 5, she's actually going to use it as a tracker, and she gives herself a star each day on page 5 that she's kind of given herself a no spend challenge. And so she'll star the days that she's successful. She gets like that little star sticker. We all still love those rewards. So she's created this tracker using that little calendar. So if you're not using that calendar for something, maybe that's a good place to give yourself a little gold star for something that you're working towards. So Carolyn, thank you for sharing that in the chat. That was great. Great idea. So now let's flip and take a look at this mood tracker. We're going to be on pages 10 for the mood tracker and 11 for the habit tracker. And that mood tracker this month is, well, hello, Team Circle. You've got your circle tracker this month. Um, Oh, are y'all talking about the Silk and Saunders? The Silk and Saunders sweatshirts are so cozy, cozy. They're like magic. When I put it on, I'm like, it's time to Sonder. Okay, back to this squirrel. So yeah, Team Circle this month for the mood tracker. So I know some of you prefer one or the over the other, so you're leaving your hexagon behind. We change that every year or every month, depending on the number of days in the month. So, the mood tracker, if you use this as a mood tracker, you know that it will help you start seeing, these trends and how you feel, where you are. You can look at what's going on in your life and notice, like, oh, when I'm here at this whatever, here's how I feel, and it's not so great. And maybe I need to make some changes. And making those shifts are great. Maya has the best story. I know we've told it a bunch, but I love this story about someone was saying her husband said, "You're always in a bad mood." And she ran and grabbed her mood tracker and said, "I'm not." Look, and she had data. So, you can kind of look and see, like, do you really think I'm always in a bad mood? Because my tracker says I'm checking in with myself. I'm feeling pretty good. And but when we notice those shifts, we can then make changes, right? We can bring in tools and we can make changes. So that's why this is so valuable. I'm going to show you a feelings wheel with lots of inspiration for words that you might want to put into this tracker to track certain moods that you're feeling. We suggest two or three negative feelings, two or three positive feelings, maybe something that's kind of neutral. Sometimes people will put, meh or good. You could also use this tracker to really focus on how you're embracing change. And then there's a lot of ways you can do check-ins throughout the day and fill in, maybe you do a morning, how do I feel this morning? How am I feeling at noon? How am I feeling at bedtime? And track that way. So you have maybe three little dots or three little marks in each one of your days. People use stickers, they use colored pens, they doodle. You can create a key. Let's take a look at some. Here is that mood tracker or that mood wheel. If you are using this for the very first time, we suggest starting with those words that are at the very middle: fear, anger, sadness, surprise, joy, love. That's pretty easy to track those. But as you may start getting a little more in depth with your feelings, you might move toward the outside of the wheel. And so maybe if you are feeling like, heavy and a lot of sadness, and maybe anger, perhaps you start just tracking those moods of sadness and anger, and then you can really start to get a hold of, hey, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? I'll go back to this while you're working on it. So here's some great examples of mood trackers from our community. You can see the one down at the bottom left. They're going to do a morning and a evening check-in. I woke up feeling blank, and I went to bed feeling blank. And so they're going to do two check-ins per day, and they're using fear, anger, sadness, overwhelmed, hope, and joy for theirs. So you can see there. I love the mood tracker that's kind of on the left, the upper left there. The middle one, they've kind of given an extra sticker there, and it just says, I feel okie dokie. So that's kind of fun. And the one over there on the right, you can see that they're tracking anger, sadness, surprise, joy, love, and fear. But in the inside of their journal, they've actually added paper, and they've got like, here are the feelings of joy. If I'm feeling pleased, satisfied, amused, happy, etc. So kind of expanding that out there. And then this is a tracker for repurposing like nobody's business. I always repurpose this, and sometimes I will make a couple of copies of this because it's a great tracker. And yes, please note the link that Maya just dropped in the chat. You'll be able to find that feelings wheel via the blog that she just posted. So save that as a bookmark, because you can then use that as one of your tools. Yeah, torch it, burn it down. I love that. We always say if the month was a trash fire, right? So here are some ideas for repurposing. And I've got some examples from the wonderful Sonder family. So this tracker also is noting, am I feeling tired or drained? So that's more of a physical feeling thing. And so I love that they're tracking that as well as stressed, angry, calm, sad, happy. The mood tracker over there, you can see there's two check-ins. There's a midday check-in and a nighttime check-in. And at night, we're just seeing, am I feeling calm or am I feeling anxiety? And then the midday has five different things that they're checking in with themselves. I love, love, love this intention check in. If you really want to dig into those intentions that you set and that you're holding yourself accountable to make sure that those intentions are being, done and being incorporated in your goals and your to-dos. That's a great way to check in on a daily basis. What did my mental, spiritual intention, what is it for the month, and how did that show up today? So I love that. keeping yourself accountable. This is an example of one of my book trackers, which is what I normally use this tracker for, just tracking the things that I'm reading. We've got a mood boost tracker. So, this is a way to get yourself out of the dumps if you're not feeling so great. And they're going to either go eat a fruit and veggie, ride, walk, listen to worship music, take a nap, maybe find some fellowship. A physical care tracker. So, move, stretch, shower, etc. And then some activities like journal, craft, family time, rest. So you can really repurpose this tracker for a number of things. Now, if you are a garden girly, here is a mood tracker that has been repurposed to a moon tracker. And I feel like they sat with the Farmer's Almanac and kind of wrote in the things to do. So I love this. Like there's going to be the best times to do certain things in the garden. So I think that's a great example. A moon tracker. And then we've got a social media tracker, which is brilliant. We've all talked tonight about we've got to stop this social media mess. So less than 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half. So this is a way to hold yourself accountable and really track in putting it on paper, giving it power that way. And then we've got an example of yeah, gardening. Yeah, actual gardening. We've got a business tracker there. So here are the things that this business owner wants to make sure is happening each day, and they've kind of coded it with little, dots or hash marks or lines. So lots of way to repurpose. Now, I would love, love, love if you repurpose this. Just drop that in the chat. What do you use this tracker for? And I'm gonna put on a little bit of music while we work on our mood tracker. Let us know what moods you'll be tracking. I just want to remind y'all that if you end up having a tracker that you're like, oh, I didn't even do it this month, or, I started off February on vacation. My trackers are not anything to brag about this month because I usually start off very strong, and then, as the month wears on, I get a little tired. Um, and then this month I didn't even start off, right? So they're very hit and miss. I maybe have three things on my habit tracker that actually got checked into. But the reminder is that your blank spaces, the spaces that nothing happened to, are also part of your journey, also part of your story. I kind of like looking at that blank tracker for the first, the third through the 10th, and I think, oh, I was on vacation with my husband, and I love that those are blank because I can remember exactly what I was doing. So, oh, Catherine, I love that. She said she uses hers for the 7 types of rest, and I'll be doing a couple of weekly setups. I'll do Monday morning, and I don't know when else I'm doing it. Maybe this, I don't know. I've got lots of events here. I'm doing a weekly in the morning, Saturday morning, and I've got a graphic on the 7 kinds of rest, so I can show you that's already there. Anyway, so don't give yourself a hard time about blank spaces. Those are parts of your journey as well, and it tells your story. So let's go next door. And we're going to look at the habit tracker. And I do really love this tracker. It helps you start new habits. Sometimes my habits that are in my weekly also show up here. It can really be informed by your start, stop, and continue boxes that you filled out on page 8. What did you write in those spaces? How could that information inform this tracker tonight? Take a look at that. I love this. So this person, and I'm sorry, the graphic's a little grainy. I selected my intentions. So we all worked on our intentions. And then I selected habits wait, I'm sorry, I messed up when I was typing, that can support my intentions. And so they have like under physical health, they wanted to walk. And it was like I think that's 100 and something miles. And so every day they're going to walk 5 miles a day. And that's one of the habits that they're going to track that was, supporting their physical health. So, yeah, let's see. Debbie, I'll go back to that in a bit. Um, and then we've got our tips and tricks. Maybe this whole thing is based on change. You gravitate to this month's theme to set this up. You can pick a theme. Do you need to feel grounded or calm or joy? Continue your habits from last month, especially if they're brand new. Those habits should show up from month to month to month. Easy habits, you might get wired in between 30 and 60 days. Tougher habits, it could take up to 6 months for really hard habits to get wired into your rhythms and routines. And then, yeah, find a balance of things you're going to do. I always love, Maya always says, I'm a bed maker. She makes her bed, whether she's in a hotel or at home. And so, that goes on her tracker. And then she's already got a win for the day. And she's turned that page to look at that tracker because she's going to check that off. So, find that balance between what you will do and then maybe add newer things to that. Our tracker wheel looks like that. And here's some great examples. So, some reminders. You don't have to fill in every line. You can see this one over here on the left. They're going to do 6 things, and they kind of put a fun stripe through the middle of that. The one on the right, beautiful. I do checks. I do little black pen and checks. But like someone was saying that, 7 types of rest, they could work here if you want to focus on that. The idea of 7 types of rest isn't necessarily do that every day. It's really about where are you lacking, but you might want to try incorporating some things from that. And again, come to the setup in the morning. I've got a really good graphic about 7 types of rest to show you, but you can also Google it. There's a ton of stuff out there on there. I love this one because first off, St. Patrick's Day and the cute little green sticker, but you notice this person went to Hawaii and they indicated that on the outside of the tracker. Again, that's a really great way to make some correlations. So when you look, maybe something didn't happen. Well, if you've been traveling, that would explain it. So is that piece that tells your story. So use the outside of that tracker to maybe show days that are different. Maybe you're sick, and so you write that around the outside of your will. You've taken a trip. You were keeping when I keep my grandkids, I don't habit track. I just have to keep them alive, and that's my focus for that day. I'm not going to worry about what's on my tracker. The one over there on the right, there's four things. That reminder, you don't have to fill them all in. And I thought that this was fun from a long time ago. The celebration tracker. I celebrate my body and then there's those habits. So but kind of incorporating it when like, yay me, look what I did. And then this is new. Somebody said I wanted to share my repurpose habit tracker for the month. I'm trying to add more veggies to my diet, so I decided to track veggie servings each day. And I found some cute veggie stickers to add. So they're going to use this whole thing. How many servings of veggies did I eat today? And I thought that was a really nice thing. They can kind of rate that. Did I have seven and color in seven, or did I only eat one? And you color in just that one space for each one of those days. So that's a really fun way of tracking there. And then we've got some habit tracker ideas if you're looking to add something new. I'm going to put on a spot of music while you work on this. Would love to know what you're tracking. And if you've done anything that might be a little bit different, like that veggie tracker, share that in the chat. Let us know what you did. All right, Maya, you can tell Josh that 100 plus women are so glad that he's chatting on the phone. Debbie, I'm going to pull up that slide while we exit tonight. So hang out for just a moment more. I'm really proud of y'all for setting up with us, for supporting each other so beautifully. Share your setup in the chat, your acrostic poem, how you're welcoming in the month of change, the month of March. Maybe when you're finished with this month's, the February trackers, you'll post the completed ones. If you do that, tag me. I'll go grab a screen screenshot because I love to see the completed ones. It's so nice for all of us to kind of see, okay, we're all in this together. Y'all are going to have a super, super duper um, month. It's going to be good. You know, out with the old, in with the new, welcome in spring. Pardon me. And I just want to thank you for being part of a really special gathering tonight. Wishing you all well. And I hope to see some of y'all in the morning for the weekly setup.